Hey guys, what's up? Zombie here, and welcome to part 8 of Evilzombies Lair. Today we're going to be talking a lot about audio formats. That's the main topic of today. We're going to go over some personal stuff first. We're going to go over some multimedia news with like games, movies, TV, that stuff. We're going to go over the next anime recommendation of the week. And then we're going to go over some tech news and new releases and stuff. Then we're going to go over the main topic of audio formats. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, so personal updates. Basically what I have been up to is I figured out that there is something called Patreon, and I have actually set one up. And I do not ever expect to actually gain anything from it, but it's nice to give myself something else to try and work forward in so that I can keep pushing more content and I can get more used to having a professional look at things. Because I don't want this to become just, I'll upload when I feel like it, or I'll upload whatever I want. I want it to be something that people enjoy, and I figure this is a way for me to keep putting out things that hopefully people will enjoy, that people will get a good kick out of, just to give more to people. So that's something I want to try and do, and I'm serious about that. I'm going to be uploading short stories, things like that, readings, dramatic readings, because I have a nice microphone, I figure why not use it, and I have a deep voice. Why not use it for narration? But no, I just figured it'd be fun. I give people early access and things like that. And I would like feedback from anybody in any way, and I'm happy to take it. So I figured that's a good way. I'll just be using it, however, pretty much. I'm probably never actually going to gain anything from it, and I really don't expect to. But it's nice that it's there. So yeah, start it at patreon.com/evilzombie. But yeah, at least there's that. And then what I'm going to do next also is I'm finding a host for the audio portion of the podcast. Because I've been an idiot and I started on SoundCloud, and I'm not just being cheap, I'm just dirt poor. I mean, I get paid minimum wage and I have 2 kids. So pretty much I'm trying to find another really, really low price host that won't cost me $15 a month. Unless I want to drop my gym membership. Then I might be able to afford it. But yeah, right now I can't afford much. I'm actually below the chase warning today for low balance alert. So yeah, it's mostly all about money. So we're finding a different host for the audio portion of our podcast. What I might end up doing, because what they're doing right now on SoundCloud, since I got up to episode 7, they took out episode 1. They're like, oh, you have up over this many minutes, so we're going to delete the previous episodes. And I'm like, what the hell? So basically, I'm just gonna take my podcast, put it on Google Drive, and I'll probably just upload it there and keep it on there so you guys can get to it. I'll just set it as private or non-changeable, so you guys can just download it, you can listen to it. That way you don't have to worry about it. If you want to listen to an audio-only portion of it, I'll always include a link in the description so that you can find a way to get it. However I decide to put it on there, if I put it on Dropbox, if I put it on Google Cloud. So one way or another, I'll make sure that you have the ability to listen to the podcast audio if you want to. And my format now is mostly FLAC, but if you wish it to be MP3, I'm more than happy to output it like that. Just let me know whatever is best. That way if anyone really wants to listen to the back catalog, and I have it, I have it backed up in a couple places. So I can output it in a different format if you need it, and you can make it work. All 5 viewers. No, but seriously guys, it's not about the numbers for me. That's why I'm willing to do it into something that's not even a podcatcher, like Podbean or Lipton. Those are nice and they really do help because you get an RSS feed and all that, but I really don't care about the numbers. I just want to make something that's nice for you guys to listen to. So yeah, I don't really care about how many people get to see it. I just am happy if you do. So I'm happy to put it in something that doesn't even give me numbers. So basically just let me know what you like and I'll do it. That's more or less what it comes down to. Okay, now into the other subtopics. Multimedia news. Sonic Forces came out I think it was this week or late last week or early this week. Sonic Forces came out, And I'm a big Sonic fan. Like Sonic Mania, one of my favorite games now. I love that game. I mean, I've been playing that, and it's really cool. I played other save files in just my free time because I've just been enjoying playing the game. It's cool, and it's one of the best ever. But how does Sonic Forces hold up? Because they advertised that a lot. They advertised that all year. I mean, Sonic Forces was supposed to be the big game where it played like Generations, and Sonic Colors and Sonic Underground, where it had that kind of gameplay style using that same engine, but just bigger game, bigger scale, more dramatic, and everything's falling apart and being destroyed. But how did it hold up? Now, I don't have it yet. Oh, I'm gonna. At some point I will have it. Maybe after a few months of saving up. But no, I heard it's actually, no spoilers or anything, I heard it's actually kind of a letdown. So everyone's saying, I know that you might be saying, oh, that's just because they don't like Sonic games. No, with how much they hyped it up, it's a letdown from that. They might have hurt themselves a little bit, because they released some really good games recently. They released Sonic Generations a couple years back, they released Sonic Colors a couple years back, and they released Sonic Mania, and people are hoping that it would meet those standards. But it doesn't quite meet up to those standards in terms of plot, few gameplay mechanics that just don't seem to work that well. And it's a good game, it just could have been better, which is a little bit unfortunate, a little disappointing, because you'd think that the team would just really put more work into, and the level designs, people are complaining a lot about the level designs, but you'd think that Sonic Team would eventually put more work into their biggest product. I mean, that's how we got the Sonic Boom game being the pile of crap that it is. I know, right? It's like, what the heck were they thinking? I don't know why they don't just spend the extra time on it, because that game could make them a crap ton of money. Companies, man, I don't know. They're greedy and don't want to put money into stuff. That's just what it comes down to. Yeah, I know, it's exhausting. But other than that, anime recommendation of the week, guys. Okay, so the anime recommendation of the week this week is Grave of the Fireflies. Now, it's not a series. This is a movie. It's a really, really, really freaking depressing movie. It's so sad. But yeah, this is a touch your heart kind of movie. This will grab hold of your heart like an iron claw and squeeze it till it's satisfied with itself. But no, it's a good movie. I do highly recommend it. I'm sorry I bumped the microphone. I'm not sure if I'll be able to edit that out though, so because I smacked it. But yeah, Grave of the Fireflies. I won't give you any spoilers to it other than the basic plot. Think of two young children surviving alone after the bombings in World War II. So, yeah, it's showing their point of view on everything that's happening, and it's really sad. I mean, it's not even really a propaganda movie. It's just really sad. But it's really good. It's a heartfelt movie. It's touching. It's deep. You need to watch this movie. It's so well done. I think that was actually from Studio Ghibli. I mean, if you like Kiki's Delivery Service and all those, it's from them. And it's fantastic. So you could probably watch it on Crunchyroll, I would imagine. I don't see why not at this point. It's been out for a while. But I do know Disney did buy Studio Ghibli, if I'm correct. So maybe they'll have it on their platform if they have one. I don't know. I'll check. But yeah. And if you want to see what other shows I've seen, just go to myanimelist.net/profile/Evilzombie123. Then you'll see the whole list. There's actually quite a few. I'm surprised by how much time I have spent in front of this computer watching anime. Puts things into perspective that I haven't seen enough anime yet. Okay, guys, tech news. Something I thought was really cool. GDDR6 RAM. So, new video card memory. They have announced that they have been able to make 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM, and then it runs way faster, like multiple times faster, and it's more energy efficient. Like, it runs on 1.35 volts, I think, when it's in power saver mode, when it's in its efficient mode. But normally it's 1.5 volts. So it's a bit more efficient than normal GRAM, normal GDDR5 RAM. Sorry, I stutter a bit. I can talk, I swear. But it's way faster, like multiple times faster. I saw the specs and I'm like, really? I want them to prove this. That's how fast it was. Where I just looked at it and I'm like, I need to see this. So the next wave of graphics cards should be a dramatic increase even over these, which is just ridiculous. I mean, I'm going to wait for those to come out so I can get this generation, because there's no point in getting anything better. My screen is 1080p and I'm fine with it. I don't need 4K. But yeah, that way you're pretty much set for the future. You don't need anything higher than that for the next 5 years. I mean, I got my card like 5 years ago and it's still good. I'm still maxing out everything at 1080p. So whatever you get now that's the best will last you maxing out we have now for the next 5 years probably. That's generally how it goes. And then it will be adequate for the next wave of releases that come out, or it won't be able to handle the next wave of screens. But they're just trying to increase resolution more and more so that if you're sitting this far away from the screen, then it will make a difference. But if you're sitting across the room on a couch in a game, it probably won't really matter. I mean, who cares about the quality that much in the pixels per square inch? You're not really going to see that much of a difference if you're sitting across the room. If you're sitting this close to the screen like I am, and it's a big freaking screen, and you're going to get eye damage, then okay, you might need a better resolution then, but you might be okay. But other than that, guys, enough rambling on that. Let's go to the main topic. So we're going to talk about audio formats. Okay, now just to be honest with you guys, this is probably going to take a while and it's going to be very, very informative. This is going to be a very informative section, but we're going to be talking about a lot of audio formats. I mean, I don't really know how to make that exciting, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to tell you which ones are good for what, and like if you're doing a podcast or a YouTube channel, which formats are probably best for you to use, what their strengths are versus other ones, what some of them have in common with different operating systems, just to make it a little easier for you when we're talking about audio formats. Like, what's really good for a podcast, for example, what has the best file size, compression rate, which loses data the most, things like that. So we're going to talk about that a bit now, because it's a question that everyone's going to have if they're trying to create content. And I had to do a bit of research. Personally, I'll talk about what my personal choices are later, because I have a preference and I enjoy it, and I just pretty much stick to that preference. It's just what works for me, and that's just pretty much how it is. But first and foremost, there are two types of audio. There are lossless audio formats, and there are lossy. Lossless ones are uncompressed, they have no data loss, they are a very large file, and they sound really good. Lossy data files, for the most part, they lose a lot of the data and the high and the low end of the spectrum that the human ear can't detect, and since they lose that data, it saves them a lot of file size. They're mostly compressed data, so you will lose a lot of quality as well. So, well, when you're getting a 30 megabyte file and you compress it down to a 3 megabyte file, yeah, it's not a complete perfect transition of it. You have a lot of data loss there, and it's not going to sound as good. If you're a professional or an audio engineer, they would be able to hear the big difference in the quality, and it's just something that's going to be obvious. But the file size is really something you just can't argue with. I mean, if I record a 30-minute episode with really good quality audio at 24-bit, and I start at 48,000 kilohertz, then if I output it to like WAV file, for example, it'll be about 100 megabytes, maybe more. If I output it to MP3, then it's going to be about 30 megabytes at most. I mean, you really do save a lot of data. But yeah, so there's lossless and lossy. Now you kind of understand what those are. So let's go over some of the lossless formats right now. So first and foremost, there's a big bad boy of it all, the best one, the WAV file. Now, the WAV file is called the waveform audio file format. And sorry if you see me reading, I'm actually going to be reading a good bit of this because there's a lot of data. And I do know it, but it just took me forever to write it all down. So I'm going to use it. But yeah, it's called the waveform audio file format, and this is the best absolute quality, but it has the biggest file size. I mean, this has a lot of data, and it's good, pretty much it's good for anything, but it's best in Windows. It's pretty compatible with everything nowadays, everything can play it. Before, it did just work best in Windows. If you have an older system and it's a Mac, you might want to look into one of the other ones. I would probably consider one of the later ones, the ALAC. But yeah, this one has a really good quality. You cannot beat the quality of the Wave. Basically, it's huge uncompressed audio file. It sounds like what you put in. That's about it. It works really good in Windows, and it's in PCM format as well. So the AIFF files are next. Those are called Audio Interchange File Format. And yes, that's a long name. Most of these do have a very long name. But yeah, that one is actually made to work on Mac, but it can work in Windows as well. It's just not as friendly. It's basically the opposite end of Wave. So it's like it's a lossless audio form made for the Mac, where Wave was made for the Windows. Basically the same difference, but it's just not quite as good as Wave. I don't know. I prefer Wave personally. It's just a better working, more solid audio format. Okay, next is ALAC. This is probably the best option if you're on Mac or iOS. This is the best option, I think, for Mac or iOS because it was made for it. I mean, it doesn't work that well in Windows, and it's not quite as good as FLAC in compression. So it'll be a big file, but it will sound good. It'll be a very big file, though, letting you know. But it's called ALAC. It's the Apple Lossless Audio Codec. And the name is pretty obvious what it's for. It works easiest with Mac. This is the most compatible thing you'll find if you're working with Mac, if you want lossless audio. So for Mac and iOS, they would support this because Mac and iOS don't support FLAC, which I would have suggested as the best for everything, even though it's not quite as good as Wave in audio quality. FLAC is still really good. I mean, with the compression size, without losing any data, and the audio quality being lossless still, FLAC would probably be my preference. But yeah, ALAC is probably the best if you're on Mac. I'm a Windows user. If you're on Linux, then you can probably use everything. That's just about what it is. But it's not as good as FLAC in audio compression. So in lossless compression, you can't get a small file size without losing too much data, unfortunately. Next is FLAC, F-L-A-C. This is called Free Lossless Audio Codec. I mean, no, such a crazy name that doesn't make any sense with what it is, right? Free Lossless Audio Codec. It's pretty on the nose. But yeah, it's up to 60% compression with no data loss at all. So you can get a file that's almost half the size of a WAV file with the same quality. Or at least pretty close to the same quality. So very, very little difference. I mean, just minute difference. The difference makes it worth it, really. You'll never hear the difference. Unless you're an audio engineer and you really, really obsess about it with your really expensive headphones. But that's a very small percentage of people. Okay, but yeah, it's also open source, which is a big part, and it's free to use. You don't need any kind of licenses or anything. It's just free lossless audio codec. It's what it says. It works best with Windows, of course, and it's a great file size. Like where a WAV file would probably be well over 100 megabytes. If I'm recording a 30-minute episode in 24-bit, I've done 192 kilohertz even with 24-bit just to test it, because that's what my interface is capable of, and it came out on FLAC to be about 90 megabytes. I think it was like 140 or 100 or something, like 140 about maybe with a WAV file, and it came out to about 30 on MP3. So you can see the difference there. It still sounded really good on FLAC. For the most part, I just upload FLAC for the audio portion of the podcast. I just work with the WAV files for the video. And then just down compresses it. Probably to AAC because of YouTube. That's what the audio format they prefer, which is compressed and lossy. I mean, everything you do is going to be worse on YouTube. Trust me. The video and everything is never going to look the same as your recording. No. But yeah, now we're moving on to lossy format. So I'm going to try and rush through this because this is a long episode. You're welcome. You get to listen to me talking about codecs. No, you get to listen to me talking about all the nitty gritty file formats. No. But yeah, the first one is one you know about. It's called MP3 or MPEG-1 Audio Layer 3. Now MP3 is fantastic. I mean, it's a good format. It's obviously the most well known, but it's not the best right now. It's the most well known, the most compatible all around, everywhere. Everything can play MP3 files. But they are moving away from it because there are things they could improve on. A big plus side is it has been made free to use recently. Before it wasn't. If you wanted to use MP3 to make money recently, you had to go through, get licensing for it, pay for licensing for it, and that was a pain. And a lot of people didn't seem to know this. But if the owner that owned the MP3 format did want to sue, they probably could and get a lot of money for it. So they just weren't douchebags. Sorry for using the word, but they just weren't. So awesome on them, right? But yeah, they had every right to take a lot of money for that. But yeah, they don't. It's free to use now. And basically the thing about this is the reason it gets such a small file size is it compresses the audio and it cuts out and deletes the audio that the human ears are not able to hear. Anything out of a certain frequency range, it just deletes that part. The lossless audio codecs will not. Those will all be in there. Even if the human ear cannot hear it, that audio is still in there. It's just, yeah, it's just not audible to you or your speakers. Maybe your speakers cannot output that level of audio. But pretty much with MP3, whatever the average human ear can't hear, it doesn't record. So that is where some people will be able to hear a difference and some won't. Because everyone hears things slightly differently than one another. Basically, it compresses everything for a very small file size and is very compatible with everything, like I've told you. Which brings us to the next one, AAC, Advanced Audio Coding. This was basically meant to be an improvement all around on MP3. This is like the upgrade, MP3 2.0, you know? So AAC, it's very compatible with pretty much everything. It's used by pretty much all streaming services now, like YouTube, Twitch, I think Pandora does use it, I'm not sure. Everything uses AAC audio formats now. It's pretty much just the average. I mean, no, if you're not seeing it, like Netflix uses it too. Nothing uses MP3 anymore. It's all AAC because it's a small file size, has better compression and quality ratios than MP3. So you get a smaller file size that's better sounding all around. And that's something that everyone will love. But it's way better than what I would suggest for the next one. The next one is WMA, which is Windows Media Audio, and you can guess what that works best with. It works best with Windows. I mean, just of course, it's in the name. It's not very compatible with anything other than Windows, but it works well for Windows. That's about the truest part of it. I would suggest AAC over it. But yeah, I still normally use MP3 just because of its amazing compatibility with everything. It just makes it easier for everybody because there's MP3 players, and they're all over the place. But yeah, it's just something that's just kind of grandfathered in, and I'm old. I'm an old part, and I'm used to that. No, but really, what I'm coming up to next is what I do, and my big habit is basically to always record it in a big file size. What I say is start big, go small. So you start in a lossless, completely high quality recording with like a WAV file. Go the highest your setup can go, pretty much. Like I normally record in WAV at 24-bit with 48,000 kilohertz, or sorry, 48 kilohertz. So I guess 48,000 hertz. So 48 kilohertz, and then that's in my games. So when I do a game recording, that's what I record in. But if I'm doing just a podcast, then sometimes I'll record it in 192 kilohertz. But it's always in 24-bit. I always try and do the best quality I can. And then I always make sure I record it in WAV. Uncompressed WAV file, so it's the biggest file size, but it has the best absolute quality. Because that's what you want to start with. You want to start with the best. And then you work on it and downgrade it and compress it so that it's releasable. So what I output it to normally is either MP3 or FLAC, depending on my purpose. Mostly I just output it to FLAC because I can get like a 25 to 30 minute wave file down, or I can get a FLAC file down to 90 megabytes, which is not too bad for a long file like that. A good 24-bit quality, you know? I normally do all my audio editing in Audacity, and it's a good program. You know, normally just touch-ups like I do noise reductions, a little tiny bit of compression, then I do my equalization, and that's about it. But yeah, everything comes out fine, and it comes out sounding great because I start with the high quality audio. I always start with pretty much lossless audio with wave format. But yeah, guys, that's how I go. Then I output it, like I said, to a lower format. I always just keep the wave file to just edited wave file just to drag into my video editor because that's just what worked best with it. But whatever releases FLAC. And if you needed something else, if you want to listen to it in a different format, just let me know because I have all the files. Okay, guys, so we're wrapping up now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still listening, good for you. I mean, you're a trooper and you were really curious, and now you pretty much know what works best for what system. So if you're still listening, then good for you. Seriously, thank you. You're amazing. And you probably need to see help now because you had to listen to my voice for half an hour. Okay, guys, but yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you're listening to it on a podcatcher of some sort, or if you're listening to it on iTunes or something, leave me a 5-star rating if you thought I was good enough for it. Leave me a comment down below on either platform. Just tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Any topics that you might like to hear in the future. Let's keep it family friendly, though, of course. Because if a podcast gets flagged as explicit in any episode, then the whole podcast gets flagged and it can't be aired in several countries, unfortunately. I don't know why they do that, but they just do. So yeah, guys, thank you for everything. Watch my channel at youtube.com/Evilzombie. Yeah, I will see you guys later. Have a good one.